So we have some special guests with us today. As we mentioned previously in the episode, Share the Mic in Cyber, a really awesome campaign aimed at helping more people of color in cyber and getting a voice out, and collaboration and networking is something that IDS has linked up and in regards to collaboration with. We have two of the ladies responsible for Share the Mic in Cyber. Would you ladies care to introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Camille Stewart, and I am one of the co-founders of Share the Mic in Cyber. I'm also the head of security policy and election integrity for Google Play and Android at Google.
Hi, I'm Lauren Zabierek. I am also a co-founder in Share the Mic in Cyber, and I am the executive director of the Cyber Project at the Belfer Center, which is a think tank at the Harvard Kennedy School.
Okay, so we have two geniuses here. Great. I feel dumb, but it's all right. It's all right. My wife says she didn't marry me for my smarts, so cool. So would you mind giving us just a quick synopsis or an overview as to how Share the Mic in Cyber came to be?
Sure. So Share the Mic Now was a campaign started by some really prominent white women in politics and entertainment to give platform to Black women in politics and entertainment. And they did it on Instagram, and it was just a great showing of support and lending platform to voices that needed more platform. And seeing that, and after the events or the murders of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and others, and seeing how the cyber community was looking for a way to support each other and to feel a part of the solution in terms of eradicating systemic racism, I put out this tweet that was just like, I would love this concept, would love to see it in national security and cybersecurity. And apparently Lauren was thinking the same thing and it had a similar thought and responded to my tweet. And I was like, well, then let's do it, right? I find that so many times we all like think of these great ideas, but don't feel empowered to put the action behind it. And we were like, well, we'll just bootstrap whatever we could do, and we'll do, even if it's something small. And it's really grown into a movement that we're proud of, that isn't just about one day on social media, but really has created a community and has created a lot of opportunities for the participant, and really sparked a movement towards action, a bias towards action in the broader cyber community.
Exactly. When I saw the campaign on Instagram for Share the Mic Now, oh, sorry, hold on. Sorry, let me shut that off real quick. I'm sorry. I always come in with
we
my
couldn't
phone.
hear. Well, I couldn't hear whatever.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't hear anything.
Okay. So when I saw the campaign Share the Mic Now on Instagram, I sort of got this jolt inside me. Like, how you sort of feel like this spark of like a good idea. I literally thought to myself, we could do this in cybersecurity and, national security overall. And so, yeah, I had sort of bounced an idea off of somebody, and then literally hours later, I saw Camille's tweet. And mind you, I did not know Camille at all. No offense, Camille, I'd never, I didn't know you at all. I didn't follow you, and I don't know how I saw your tweet. So I think that it was fate that I saw it. And yeah, I responded to it right away. And like Camille said, we just started talking, and literally, I think that was for 2 weeks, basically. I think we sort of met on Twitter June 9th, and then June 26th was our event, right?
Yeah, I did one for national security on Juneteenth. That was a good barometer for us, but we were able to turn this around, add to it, and get it out in a really short time. So I agree with you. I think it was fate, because I too was not following you. We've never met, and now have built this thing and built a friendship.
Exactly. That's wonderful. It's such a great movement.
That's awesome. That was actually one of the questions, but was how did you ladies meet? And in regard to feedback from the community and an output, not output that's like a statistical model, but output in regards to kind of like changes that individuals who participated have felt or have shared, you know, from their experience. What have you kind of seen as like the overall kind of like responses, you know, afterwards? Like for myself, for instance, I know when I took part in I think it was a June campaign. I want to say it was like the June campaign.
Yeah.
When I took part in the June campaign and being linked to to Phil from Sands, who's actually someone that I didn't request to be linked to Phil, but he's someone I follow in the different community. He's been like, like just like an amazing practitioner and is a pretty cool human being. But I know for myself, the output from there is like, well, now I'm thinking more about becoming like a Sands instructor, right? Like it's something that probably wouldn't have happened unless I spent that personal time with Phil Hagen. I'm just kind of curious from a like consensus perspective, what feedback have you gotten from the community?
Well, first, I just want to say that's incredible. I love sort of, when people are revealing their stories of how this impacted them, because, for myself, I certainly didn't know it would have such impact. After the first one, especially, we saw people get invites to boards, right? Or get invited to some really important meetings. We saw people saying, you know what, something like this is really rare for people of color. And so to have this sort of attention and, these opportunities is incredible. And that for me was just amazing. I never really thought, we could put together a movement that would yield something like that, and then Rachel Toback, she started, just this small, raising some money for her practitioner. And once those funds were covered, and that was for things like, certifications and trainings, which, as you know, can be very cost prohibitive for people, trying to get in the industry or even already in. And so once those costs were covered, she just kept raising more money. And then all of a sudden we have this huge scholarship for people who, really needed those funds. And I mean, and that just started organically, and, truly just blew my mind. And then of course we had a lot of engagement on Twitter, especially after the one in October. I think we had, what was it, Camille, like about 14 million Twitter impressions?
Actually 15 million.
Wow.
So that was great. Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that stands out to me too is all of the examples that Lauren mentioned of how this has impacted folks really get at the root of some of the systemic issues, right? Access to funding to pay for certifications or to pay for whatever the educational requirement is for jobs is a consistent problem in underrepresented groups. And so that grew out of this, an opportunity to help supplement that grew out of this. Exposure and people just knowing you're in the space, that awareness of talent was the core of this. But also, how do we get people of color, Black people in leadership roles? And we're seeing people in board seats and getting new jobs and moving up the ladder so that there's visibility at middle management and leadership levels. And so I think what stands out to me about the examples is all these great things are happening to people, but they're really attacking the root problem, the root challenges of why systemic racism is such a problem, and how we as individuals and as organizations have a role in changing that.
I love that.
That was a great answer. And I know, so I know one aspect of the campaign for Black History Month is, the collaboration with Inclusion and Diversity System podcast. Are there other aspects you care to share about that you think other people should definitely tune into or be aware of for Black History Month also, and even not just Black History Month, but upcoming over the next couple months?
So we have a number of events and things like this that we are really organizing behind the scenes. So we're going to be coming out with more and more events. I'm not exactly sure which ones we can kind of make public yet, but we have invites for podcasts like this one, for instance, some events with some bigger companies, even some training events that are happening. again, people looking into the space and seeing, all right, what are some of the things that I can do? And so, for instance, one company is going to be doing some media training, basically like public speaking.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, exactly. People are just being very, very proactive and, again, providing that platform and that space.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I would say. Whether you're a participant, an ally, or not not engaged in one of those two ways, follow along. Follow the hashtag. Hear the stories on March 19th, but around it, because these events will yield dividends in addition to the campaign date. So you'll hear some really great stories on March 19th, but you'll probably hear people talking about the benefit of the events, and you'll see more voices profiled and center stage, because the goal is to have conversations and opportunities to elevate voices in this community throughout the month of March, but just in general. So we'll be trying to be a conduit to more opportunities like this one.
Awesome. And how do individuals follow along? You mentioned tuning in, but how do individuals, know where to obtain the information or learn about upcoming events?
Follow hashtag share the mic in cyber. Follow Lauren and I and Caitlin, one of our co-hosts. Follow the Twitter lists we've set up, and I'll keep tweeting those out periodically, as does Lauren. Those are all great opportunities to stay a part of the conversation. But the hashtag share the mic in cyber is the core of it. If you find that, you found a discussion.
Exactly. Yeah. And on Twitter, I am at LZXDC. Caitlin is K_Ringrose, and Camille is at Camille ESQ.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you, ladies, for sharing some of your time in the afternoon. I know you're both super busy. I'm very much looking forward to the campaign, not only to the podcast, but overall to the campaign. I know I was mentioning to Camille a bit earlier that, something I think is awesome as output of your efforts is individuals communicating with each other and linking up with each other that wouldn't have otherwise. Like, I think that's one of the best things that can happen, and not just for Black History Month, but overall within the cybersecurity community with people of color. It's really that reaching out and that networking, because you never know not only where the next of opportunity may come from, but also who could help you with research or collaboration on a book, or all these different areas that that are closed off to you until you kind of put yourself out there in the universe and open yourself up. So I think it's amazing what you've done, and definitely looking forward to not only the events this month, but what happens in 2024 with Share the Mic in Cyber.
That's really awesome. I really appreciate it, and I'm just so glad to have met you and to have expanded my own network as well. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what we do going forward, all of us.
Yes, thank you so much. This is an amazing collaboration. I'm excited about it, and excited to just see this continue to grow and continue to highlight more talent in this space.
Yes. Well, thank you, ladies.
Thanks, O'Shea.
Thank you.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
All righty.